Welcome to the Savage River in America for the blue ribbon of slalom racing, the Men's Kayak Championship, set over one of the toughest sections of white water to be found anywhere in the world. A crowd of 10,000 packing both banks here in western Maryland for what promises to be a really close competition. Today we concentrate on two categories. Firstly, the kayaks, in which the racer is seated while steering his boat with a double-bladed paddle. Then the Canadian pairs, or C2, in which the two men, each equipped with a single blade, must try and work in perfect harmony whilst kneeling in their canoe with their feet tucked underneath them. 600 metres the distance from top to bottom, with 25 control gates to negotiate on the way. Each of the 15 downstream gates identified by two green and white poles, whilst red and white indicates an upstream control where the racer must turn back and paddle through the gate against the stream. 2 runs over the same course for every competitor, but only their best time to count. For watching the action with me, Britain's former world medalist Jeremy Taylor. So straight on to the first run, and this is how the competitors in the top group have been drawn to start. Richard Weiss, the American champion, at 5.70. 5.74, 3-time world champion Richard Fox. Czechoslovakia's Luboš Hilgert, number 5.78, won silver in 1981 and bronze in 1985. The improving Frenchman, Laurent Brissot, who was 6th in the world 2 years ago, will be last to start. Tokyo office worker Tsuyoshi Fujino, finding himself on the wrong side of gate 1, instantly decided to accept the 50-second penalty and press on. Dropping down to gate 23 near to the end of the course, all was going well until the ferry across the top of the wave to 24. Happily, no harm done. Russ Smith, a member of Britain's gold medal winning team 2 years ago in France, found it difficult to find a flowing line through the opening section. However, free of penalties with more than 2/3 of the course safely completed, his final time of 3 minutes 43.16 was to prove good enough to take the lead, despite this one unlucky touch with his stern on gate 17. The experienced Brian Brown, having narrowly escaped a penalty at the very first downstream gate, was quickly back into his rhythm. The 28-year-old Marylander supported all the way by an enthusiastic home crowd. His time would have been good enough to take the lead, but for a momentary loss of control and this careless touch with his bow on gate 19. Marjan Strukels for Yugoslavia, the bronze medalist in 1987 in France. Nicely through gate number 1 there, straight on to the red and white poles, the upstream gate number 2. Flowing smoothly through there, lots of power from this man. And Yugoslavia, a real force in slalom canoeing. Nicely through 3, straight across to gate number 4. Upstream, breaks out into the slower water, round those red and white poles. And down on the lower section of the course now, gate number 20, upstream again through the red and white poles. 10 upstream gates on the course. 21, and this is a good run from Strukels. No penalties so far. And just the final combination now to go. 23 downstream, 24 upstream. Russ Smith's time on the left, and he looks to have a good chance of beating that. Drops down now, has to use that water, the top of the wave, to bring him across, and he's not done that terribly well. He's got washed down the slack water of the eddy, and he's lost some precious hundredths of a second as he goes for gate 25, the last gate on the course, downstream, green and white poles, and now the sprint to the line. And he's certainly faster than Russ Smith, but is he clean? No penalties, indeed he is, and Yugoslavia have the lead. Fritz Sins for Holland, coming down on the lower section of the course to gate 20.
Oh, that was very careless, David. Bow came up and wasn't paying attention. It's really difficult to keep your concentration going all the way down this course.
Indeed, really hard work. 600 metres of continuous white water, and you've got to be fit. 3:25.09, the time for Strukels on the top left of the screen, and Fritz Sins is going to be really pushed to make this time.
That's very good. A lot faster than Strukels there. Caught the wave nicely and ended up right in the gate line. Probably saved 3 seconds.
Not enough to take the lead, but of course every paddler has 2 runs, and he'll have another chance to improve second time around. 3:35.97, 15 penalties, 3 touches on the poles earlier on, and he goes 6th. Well, a really good crowd enjoying the sunshine and the best paddlers in the world. Magnus Holmer for Sweden, 26 years old, from Falun, the ski resort. He was 24th in the world 2 years ago at Bourg Saint-Maurice when the championships were hosted in France.
That's the best run we've seen so far, David. First one to get a good line down through that top drop.
And absolutely crucial to get a good start here. It's one of the toughest combinations we've seen in the World Championships for many years. And remember, just one chance to practice on this course before the big day. And not a bad start by the Swede, but now further down, gate number 22. And just looking a little tired, a little ragged as he comes down to the drop. Washing down, not taking the first wave, this is the alternate route.
Very interesting. If you don't get high into the gate at 23, you can come down, surf this second wave without hardly losing any time and keeping your speed on.
And he's done that quite well, but as you can see, well behind Marjan Strukelj, 3:36.02, just the one touch, and he goes 4th at this early stage. New Zealand now, and Donald Johnson, 5th in the World Championships 2 years ago, and a real talent from the Southern Hemisphere. 25 now, and plenty of experience on the world circuit. Not the best of starts. 19, the drop down to this very difficult gate. It's a little tricky. Oh, and Johnson in trouble there.
That's right, he's having to do a shoulder shrug to get around the gate there.
And that's the point where the slack water and the rough water meet, and it really is trickier than it looks. You can see the power of the Savage as he comes down to gate 20. Really big grade 4 water. The easiest water, rated grade 1, the toughest grade 6. You probably can't paddle in that, but the Savage in that section grade 4. Johnson spinning backwards into and through gate 23. Nicely there below and tight to 24. Didn't lose anything, in fact probably gained a touch there. Sideways through 25, and the time of Strukelj on the left. He's not going to quite make it, but this is a good first run. 3:28.28, about 3 seconds off the pace, but good enough for second place.
He's been very clever here. Saved time by turning above the hole, but he controlled that beautifully with superb timing and strength. Really benefited from that high cross.
Yugoslavia in the lead with Marjan Strukelj, but here's his teammate, the man who got the silver medal ahead of him in those World Championships in 1987. This is Jurnej Abramic. Nicely through the upstream gate at 9, and now breaking out right-handed into 10. Lovely and close, tight breakout to 10, and the ferry across to 11. And just a little hesitation there, but avoided the stopper well. And clean so far on this section of the course. And Abramic going really nicely now. Good technician. No problems with 19, set across the course, but now down to the penultimate upstream gate, gate 20. And look at that water. The key here is to keep your eye on the kayak. Just watch it moving all the time, and that's one of the signs of a good paddler. And there's the time of his teammate up on the top left, and he's got about 25 seconds to complete the last 3 gates if he wants to get ahead of him.
That was very nicely done. Really tight on all of these gates, certainly not wasting hardly any time.
Has he been quick enough over the first section of the course? It's going to be very close to Strukelj. 25.09 is the time he has to beat if he wants to take the lead, and he's not quite going to be there, but very close by less than half a second. So Yugoslavia 1 and 2. Owen Jones for Great Britain, second in the trials on this river a year ago. And that's not the best of starts. Now, I'm not quite sure that he got through the gate. He seems to think he has because he's pressed on. But did he make it?
The approach here is absolutely crucial, and Melvin's outside the line. He must go between both the poles. No, he's definitely missed it. That's a 50.
And 50 seconds means that he's going to have to rely on his second run. Thomas Hilger now for the Federal Republic of Germany. Gate 15 upstream. And now all the way across to 16. Oof, and he's got caught by the heavy water there, and he's in trouble, and he's over with a 5, and is he over? Oh my goodness, he recovered, but how did he manage to do that? And he does look a tired paddler to me.
Yes, you can see he's not got far enough over to the right of the river. His line's completely wrong, and he's hitting all the wrong parts of the river. He should be driving through that gate from right to left. Now he's in really deep trouble, doing a deep support stroke. He's wasting very valuable time there.
At the top of the course, Ian Wiley for Ireland. 21 from Dublin, but he's been over in the United States training, and he's a much improved paddler. But having said that, that was really careless on gate number 1. 5-second penalty there. But he's moved through that very fast right-hand route out of gate number 2, setting himself up for the fast water to take him through 3. 19 now. Oh, that was good. The perfect line through 19. Lots of speed. And a great deal of concentration here. And that's something you must do on this river if you want to perform well. Nicely through 20. Skills also involve the combination of power and control. As he comes through gate 22, he needs to put the power on, approaching the drop, and now switch to control. Nicely done. And now use the water to bring the kayak across to 24. And that was well done. And he really is a much improved paddler, Ian Wiley. He's not going to be too far away from Strukelge's time. That's on the left there, the Yugoslav still leading. And 3:24.87, the fastest man down the river, but that one penalty pushing him down to 4th. Richard Weiss, 25, geology graduate, 6th in the world 2 years ago. Neatly round gate 1, straight on to 2. Fast route there around that gate, the upstream gate. Now 19, no problem with that at all. And this huge crowd really urging Richard Weiss on. Champion of America for the past 2 seasons. And this a good run. 21 brings the bow round, not losing any time at all. This looks to be a pretty quick time, just 3 gates to go. And the crowd really urging Richard Weiss onwards and onwards. Oh, and he slotted it beautifully in there between the poles at 24. And surely this must be the new leader. And a pretty clean run from what we've seen, and he's smashed the time there. But I must say that 5-second penalty that they're showing, a real surprise to us. Jean-Michel Régnier for France, champion of his country a couple of years ago, down at the bottom of the course. To get into 24, he seemed to reverse back into it rather than dropping below as he should have done, and I'm not quite certain what penalty the judges might give him there. Certainly a 5, but the question must be whether he actually went through the gate. His time slow in any case. 55 penalties, so they've said that he hasn't gone through the gate.
Yes, he's paddled too high across the wave and ended up above the gate. The idea is you should go round the pole and paddle upstream between the 2 poles. Here he's reversing back, pole swinging around, doesn't know where he is. It's a very tricky piece of water and he's lost his orientation. Now he should be paddling upstream through the gate after going around the pole, and he's not done that. He'll definitely be given a 50.
Richard Fox for Great Britain, world champion in 1981, 83 and 85, and really charging out here. And a very determined start from Richard Fox. Quickly round 2. Sets himself up now for 3. Oh, that was careless, just caught that pole on the shaft of his blade, and again at 4. And 10 seconds of penalties right at the top. And what pressure Richard Fox has put on himself now. He does, of course, have a second run. 19, the drop down. Not quite as good as he would have liked there. But he is the master technician. The boat continually moving as he goes through 20. In his mind, he knows every paddle stroke he intends to make. He's planned it by walking the course, the one practice run, and 3:23.77 the time of Richard Weiss. And Richard Fox is close enough, he's in touch, but remember those penalties will hurt him. That was good across 2:24. Burst through the wave there. His time on the left, and he's much faster, Richard Fox. 3:16.08, the fastest man on the river, but look at those 10 seconds of penalties. Down into 4th place. Italy now, Pier Paolo Ferrazzi, coming down to gate 20, upstream, red and white poles. Well, that's a sign of a tired man. Loss of control, loss of concentration. Compare his entrance and exit through that gate with Richard Fox. Oh, and a little correction stroke there. And I think we might have predicted that and rolled over. He didn't miss the gate, but he's got a lot of work to do now.
You can't afford to let your concentration lapse for 1 second. This river's so difficult, you must be on top of the game the whole time. Bratz is looking very uncharacteristic there. He's tired, definitely not at the top of his game.
Now he's got to work his way all the way across, and credit to him, he's stuck to the task, and he's got up through gate number 24. But the power of this water on the Savage will have really sapped his energy, and the clock ticking away all the time, and another paddler who's going to have to try and put it all right on his second run. Look at that, not too many penalties, but the time loss enormous. West Germany now, Michael Siebert. Steady start. In fact, a little tentative, and he's rather got away with that opening gate, and I suspect he's a bit relieved to have got this combination out of the way without any penalties. Not the fastest, but maybe he'll settle down to his work now. Better through 3. And not too far away from 4. And now beginning to pick up and go faster. See the power of the water there as he has to drive the kayak on. Through 5, downstream, green and white poles. The next one also 6. A face full of water. 22, and Michael Siebert coming down to the last section of the course, and he's certainly picked up some pace in the middle part after that tentative start. These gates crucial now, particularly this cross to 24. Oh, and he's done well there. That's as good as anyone. 3:23.77. Still Richard Weiss of America in the lead. Marjan Strukels of Yugoslavia in second place, and he's not going to get into the first 3. 3:29.43. No penalties, but goes 6th. Not a bad run. Laurent Brissot for France. 3rd in the season-long rankings for the World Cup last year. nicely through the upstream gate there at number 8. Long paddle down, and you need to put the power on.
You must have a good line down here, concentrating on your stroke, reaching forward, but all the time looking for that next gate, thinking about at least 2 gates ahead.
These upstream breakouts, absolutely vital. This is where the race is won and lost. And there's 10 upstream gates on this course. That's a very high number, and so they're crucial. And he's done 9 and 10 pretty well.
This is Brisseau's view coming down to gate 19. Very difficult to get the fine line between the fast water and the slack water. No, it's not done it. Hit the pole on the right, got a 5-second penalty.
That's a great pity for Brisseau, because other than that, it was a very good run, and the time's not bad either. 3:25.69, just that 5-second penalty, and he goes 8th. So Richard Weiss ahead of the 2 Yugoslavians. Richard Fox only 4th after those 2 early penalties. The next 6, all capable of closing on the American, who was pretty sure that his first run was a clean one.
I know that I had a water touch on gate 1, but I'm sure I didn't hit anything, so I don't know.
Did he or didn't he? There's the water coming up from the bow of the kayak as Richard arches underneath that pole, and I must say, from where we are, it doesn't look as if he touches it. And quite clearly, Richard Weiss has a different view of gate 1 than the 3 judges gathered around. Well, the second and decisive run still to come. Join us for that in just a couple of minutes from now. Welcome back to the Savage River in Western Maryland for the second and decisive run of the men's kayak. Marjan Strukelj of Yugoslavia in second place after the first run, just a second behind the American Richard Weiss, and that's a bad start for him. 5-second penalty, trapped on the rock, and that's a bit of a disaster, because you always try on the second run to improve. He's going to find that difficult now as he comes down to gate number 20. And those early problems will have disturbed his concentration, broken his rhythm, and the plan that he had set in his mind, how he was going to attack the second course. And another careless mistake there, and that's 10 seconds. The kayak's facing the wrong way, and this is really a bit of a disaster here for Strukelj.
That's right, with an early mistake, you either go for it and pull it off, or it turns into a disaster. He's certainly got no chance of improving his first run now.
And he doesn't have the punch, the power, the aggression here. You can see the heart's gone out of him here on the second run, and he's going to have to rely on that first run time to give him a medal. It can't be a gold one, but currently he's in the silver medal position. 15 penalties all, and as you can see, it's the first run time that's going to count for him. Gilles Clouseau for France, only 17th after the first run, 33-year-old student. Well, that was nice. Really caught the water well there. Left-handed round the pole. I think that's a slightly slower route, but it is a personal preference. Certainly 2 options at gate number 2. But again, a lovely move through 3. Just a little low on 4. That cost him perhaps half a second. That's where it counts. Coming down to 19, Clouseau. And sweetly through there. And this is a much better run second time around for him.
You can see the difference when someone's concentrating well. Everything's put together nicely. and the whole boat is flowing the whole time.
Clouseau certainly not one of the fancied contenders for a medal here, but really paddling well. You can just see there the concentration still there. When you're paddling well, you also enjoy it. And I think that's what Clouseau's doing now. That's very good. He's done all the difficult things now. He's just got to keep driving on. Just held a little bit there. And it's going to be very close. Weiss's time on the left. And I think that Clouseau is clean. He's certainly faster, and indeed he is. And the man from Rennes in Brittany takes the lead for France. Donald Johnston, 5th after the first run, but Clouseau's pushed him down further, coming to gate number 7. Member of the Palmerston Canoe Club in New Zealand. Gate 19. This is where he had a little problem first time around.
He's done it again. Very difficult to get the line at this stage of the course. Getting a little bit tired. Difficult to see as you come round the rock. And it's giving him problems down here at 20. Very wide on the entry to there. He's losing time all over the place. Seems to be a little bit tired going across 22.
And again, another paddler whose zest seems to have disappeared. Consistently good over the last couple of World Championships, always there or thereabouts. Again, that backward spin before surfing the wave across to 24, but the power isn't there. And Donald Johnson, good paddler as he is, sadly, he's not going to threaten the leaders today. He finished 9th in the pre-World Trials a year ago. At the moment, he goes 7th. Jonas Abramic for Yugoslavia, 3rd after the first run, but only 4th now, so he's got to find that little bit extra if he wants to get back onto the podium. And they're all a little bit afraid of making a mistake here. Fortune favours the brave, and I think that's what you've got to do at the top of the course if you want to make sure of a medal today. Drop down to 16 in this centre section. This is really big water. Water coming out of the dam at the top of the course, a couple of 100 metres above the start. It's icy cold, just about 3 degrees Celsius. No mistakes in terms of penalties. 20. Really got to dig deep now. Can't relax. Oh, and there's a mistake. And that's the loss of concentration. He hasn't missed the gate, but he's certainly lost time. And that could be absolutely critical. Well, one big mistake that Abramic has made on this course, right near the end.
Once again, he's dropped very low in the cross to 24, cost him at least 2 seconds.
50 metres to the line, and how close is he going to be? That close, 11 hundredths of a second, and he goes into 2nd place, and you saw where he lost his time. Melvin Jones for Great Britain. 55 seconds of penalties on his first run, really knocked him out of contention. But he's a much better paddler than that. Gate number 9, oh, and low there on the eddy. And that's where the time is really lost, and where this race is won. That was much better at 10. Kept much tighter to the gate. A little loss of time there, hesitation again, not driving through the gate. Down to 12. Now the breakout to 13. Again, a little wide on his approach to the gate there. He was tight enough to it, but he lost time on the approach. 20 now, yet another upstream gate. And you can see he's out to his left. He really needed to be tighter coming into that. All these little errors adding up the seconds that are lost down the course. And in a sense, it's the paddler who makes the least number of errors who wins the main championships. Clouseau for France, still with the lead. Melvin Jones trying to make up time here on the bottom. This must be good. Again, you can see just half a boat length down behind that gate. And he should have had the bow between the two poles. Now pushing on towards the line. Can he get onto the podium? He's pretty close despite all those little errors. And he's just over a second down and only fourth. And Wiley is doubling up. Coming to 16, currently in 9th position. Oh, and really being pushed around by the water and pushed into that error. 5-second penalty for that touch on the pole. He just doesn't seem to have the power. And the water rather controlling him rather than he the water. Drop down to 19, little draw strokes there.
Ian's obviously very tired. This is his second run. Really hard work coming down this river.
Coming across the river now to gate number 20. And again, you see, he's made a complete mess of that. He really wasn't set coming in, lost control, came to a complete stop. And it really is difficult sometimes getting yourself up for the second run, particularly when you've had a good first leg down the river and set yourself a decent time. Oh, and another careless mistake. Catching the pole with his bow there on 23. And although he's not far away, all those penalties have to be added. You can see there the paddle there, very horizontal. The power has just gone away, the head's gone down, and he's a very disappointed man. Only 11th. Plenty of good paddlers still to come. Richard Weiss for the United States. And the cheers go up. At 9, nicely through there. And that 5-second penalty which he's been given for the first run, which he feels that he's been given unjustly, he's got to put that out of his mind. He's just got to concentrate on the job in hand. And he's got himself into all sorts of trouble there at gate 11. Now he got himself trapped in that little stopper wave, pushed down past the right-hand pole, and he's had to work his way all the way back. He's not incurred any penalty, but he's lost time. It's now asking a great deal of him to make up for that deficit, but he has shown speed as well as power on this course. He knows the river well. He's got the crowd behind him. He's charging down now to 23. He's got time in hand to get in front of Clouseau for France, who leads. I'm not sure whether that was a touch there on the far side on 23. Very suspicious, that pole waving around. And it doesn't look as if he's going to overtake Clouseau with this run. And so it's his first run time that's going to count. Indeed it is, and he stays in bronze medal position. Richard Fox for Great Britain. 29 from Nottingham, only 6th. Oh, and that's a careless start. 5-second penalty right on gate number 1. Well, he was under pressure before he started, but now he's really got to pull out something special. He had problems at 3, but not this time round. 4, just a touch low. It would have been nicer if he'd been tighter to the gate, but at least he's avoided penalties there. Coming down to 16, the view that Richard has. Oh, and that's lovely. Did that wonderfully well, and again through 17. Every stroke counting, the boat continually moving. And he's made up some precious seconds in the centre of the course as he comes down to 19. This important as well, not perfect, but good enough.
You can see the aggression as he fights his way down here. Such a contrast to a lot of the paddles that have just been down.
This course is tough, it favours the experience. You've got to be fit, you've got to be strong. Now look at him push the power into the paddles now. But if he's got any chance, it's got to be 100% perfect here. That was good, he was quickly onto the wave. This has got to be great, and it is. And Fox is beginning to fly. But the clock ticking away. Clouseau's time on the left as he goes for gate 25. Nicely through there. Punching on down. Remember, there's a 5-second penalty to add, and he's got to add that on to 3:13.61, and that's good enough. And Richard Fox goes into the lead for Great Britain. Tremendous run. And some really vintage moves right in the middle of the course there.
Richard's bow positioning, his power, timing, absolutely perfect. And that's what wins medals.
Martin Hemmer now for the Federal Republic of Germany, dropping down to 19. Pretty good run this. Scraped by the right-hand pole there. Strong man. 10th in the season-long World Cup last year. And an improving paddler. But one has to say he was very slow on the first run. And it's no use coming down here cautiously and clean. You've got to be fast and clean. And this is a better performance from him. There you can see just a little hesitation coming into the drop, and he wasn't sure what he's doing, and he's paying the penalty now. Over he goes, and he's really struggling now, and I don't think he's going to get out of that. Well, he's got out of the boat, but I'm afraid he's also out of the race. And that's so aggravating, particularly when you're so close to home. Remember, the World Championship, it only happens every 2 years, and this, your one chance of being world champion. Very sad. Luboš Hilgert now for Czechoslovakia. Well down the field on the first run. A man who got silver in 81, a bronze medal in the World Championships in 85, now 28, and he's immensely strong. 1 meter 86, tall man, lots of leverage. And always capable of putting in the good run. Richard Fox knows that he may have the lead, but there's still some paddlers that can take that gold medal away from him.
Luboš struggles with his technique, finds it difficult to get on the right line, but his enormous strength really compensates for this.
And he's doing pretty well at the moment, because 3:18.61 is the new leading time from Richard Fox. He's not going to make that, but he's not without a chance of getting in amongst the medals. Remember, Clouseau for France in silver medal position, Abramic for Yugoslavia in bronze, and maybe he's just lost a second there on that gate 24. Just a little low on the breakout on the surf across. And he's a couple of strokes out now, and he's very close to Abramic's time in bronze, but he's just missed out by 1600ths, and he goes for a great try there from the Czechoslovakian paddler. Richard Fox looking concerned. He knows the last man still on the course, and he could take it away from him. Well, here is the last man, Laurent Brissot for France, the man from Grenoble. He's in 8th position after the first run, but of course he's further down the order now, so this is the important run for him, and he was very careful there coming out to make sure that he didn't have any penalties, which he hasn't had, but he's lost some time. This is better. Now across to 4. Upstream, red and white poles for the last time. Nicely round there. Now he's got to really use his strength. Break through this white water. Coming to 19, the cross gate. Again, not quite right. The little draw stroke, the hesitation. Those are the things that cost the fractions of the second. Again, correction strokes there on his right-hand side as he's breaking out into 20. Richard Fox watching Brissot on one of the television screens by the side of the river. And I think he's going to feel a lot happier in a couple of seconds, because Brissot looks to be outside his time at this point. Indeed, he is a little slower, but there's not a great deal in it. A lot depends on this, and that wasn't bad. And Brissot is closing about 5 seconds, 3 seconds now. He's not going to make Richard Fox's time. Can he deny his teammate Clouseau in silver or Abramovich in bronze? I don't think he can. No, he can't. And so Richard Fox wins his 4th World Championship, even with a 5-second penalty.
Well, I didn't realise what I'd done actually at that point. All I knew was that I'd hit gate 1 and that I didn't really expect to win the race with a 5. But, you know, so I was pretty mad. I mean, the objective is to get down there clean, you know that. And I'm disappointed that I didn't have a clean run, but I'm really happy with the way I paddled, and I'm really glad that I won the race.
So Richard Fox confirms himself as the outstanding kayak paddler of the decade. Richard Weiss very unlucky not to be in the medals. Laurent Brissot missing the silver medal by just over half a second. Yugoslavia with 3 racers in the top 10. Donald Johnson for New Zealand in 12th. Ian Wiley, the best Irish result for 10 years. Well, next, the 2-man Canadian canoes. That in just a couple of minutes from now.